Warning. The following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
And welcome back to Hazardous Materials. Toasty. I'm Gideon Gonzalez, and with me as always,
Casey Johnson.
And this week we've got our post-game coverage of the Hellfire Gala.
Our wrap-up.
Which, whole lot of X-Men titles. And I like the way this is structured because, again, like Heroes Reborn, which we talked about earlier, that I like the idea of doing the event comic in a weekly format and just getting it done real quick. And this one, even more so than Heroes Reborn, you don't need to read every single issue.
No, you really don't.
Like, they give you some highlighted important big ones, and those were Marauders 21, X-Men 21, Planet-Size X-Men 1, Sword 6, and X-Factor 10. So if you really just want the bare bones essential Hellfire experience, go with those ones. But really what's fun about this event is you get to see what each team is doing at the gala. So it's not really like a linear story being told.
No, it's all mixed together.
Yeah, and they also cross into each other. Way of X number 3, I think, had a really fun way of because Nightcrawler pops up in every issue.
Yeah,
and
Way of various periods of inebriation.
Exactly. And Way of X3 opens with Nightcrawler bumping into the Hellions and bumping into the X-Men and asking everyone uncomfortable questions. It was a fun little format bit that I enjoyed.
Yeah, there was some of the issues that was you had the beginning when everybody was coming in, and they would specifically tell you, and this is what happened after the event. They would tell you what the event is, and we didn't know what the event was until Planet-Size X-Men was announced and released. That was apparently the secret book that they didn't want to talk about.
Oh, they talked about Planet-Size X-Men, the solicits, for months. So.
Did they? Because I didn't never see that.
Yeah,
and I knew there was a secret book.
We just had the big title, Planet-Size X-Men. We didn't know what it was going to be about. But I guess we'll just roll right into it. The mutants successfully terraform Mars.
Yeah, no, they terraformed Mars. They renamed it. They called it the capital of Sol, and now the mutants are basically the representatives of Earth.
Yeah, mutants
just
are the dominant
boom.
species. They just
They swung out, and it's and then we're going out with heavy.
Sword deals with the ramifications of that, where they're going out and meeting the other representatives of the universe, and they're like, hey, so if you guys want to talk to Sol, you go through us.
It's like the ultimate flex. They went out there with a crap load of Omega levels because,
Storm is Queen of Mars, which is sick as hell.
And that totally makes sense.
All about it. I really like in Sword, they actually bring back a plot point from Sword number 1, which I had almost completely forgotten about. Sword number 1, they combine all their mutant powers to get this weird, primordial piece of the universe.
Yeah.
And then that kind of got forgotten because we had 3 issues of King and Black tie-ins. But this is brought back now as their big bargaining chip on the galactic table.
Yeah, they got some kind of metal that they're now using to sell to other systems, like the Snarks, the Shire, the Skrulls, the Kree. I like the fact that the Snarks are back.
Yeah, I'd say a big part. Snark War was a major facet. But the drugs for the humans, mutant kind is establishing their dominance in the stars with this cool fancy mutant metal. I can't remember what it's called, but it was a
complex word.
Yeah,
we'd have to break everything, look at our phones, and stare at the word for 5 minutes to figure it out.
But yeah, most of the books, it's again just the cast of the series enjoying the party and having some private drama, and a good way to get all of the mutants involved.
I still feel like we're riding high on the Hickman train, and I'm actually filled with dread that everything's just going to come apart and we're going to go back to status quo, and I'm going to hate it.
That is my big concern with the post-Hellfire X-Men number 1 that's being done by Jerry Duggan and Pepe Larraz, who I like both of those. I like Jerry Duggan's Marauders quite a bit. I love Pepe Larraz's art from House of X. But the description in the solicit is very much Jean and Scott lead a team that's protecting a world that hates and fears them. And it's the mutant PR team. And I was like, that feels like a step backwards, especially with how
you know what, you set the ceiling so high. You showed us what you could do. If you backpedal now, we'll be upset.
And I will say, I feel like after the first maybe like the first 6 issues of Hickman's run on X-Men proper, and it became kind of just more of setting up big event, I can kind of get why he's walking away and focusing on miniseries. I guess maybe Marvel wanted them to feel more impactful, because Inferno is going to be its own miniseries.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if they don't want X-Men to be more of a evergreen superhero title and the big Hickman event stuff to be its own private books. And plus they can slap a shiny #1.
So there's no news about Hickman walking away from running the X
No,
office.
not yet. Yeah, he's still like kind of the showrunner and kind of like managing all the separate titles, but with his own
because
big
he's like the
arcs.
best thing that's happened since Claremont.
For sure. Well, I'd say since Morrison, but yeah, as a big Morrison guy. But yeah, Casey, what issues really stuck out to you from Hellfire?
Well, I want to say issues that are in the middle that give us a proper context, but honestly, the one that really stands out the most for me is the last one,
X Factor 10.
X Factor 10,
Yeah.
and you and I have talked about the bittersweetness of X Factor 10. It's they're still talking about the characters we love.
Mhm.
They're wrapping up storylines a bit hastily, but still addressing it, like Shatterstar. I like the fact that he showed up there and they addressed the Morrigan story, even though it felt like a 2-page thing going, okay.
Yeah, and there was like a little bit more of him talking to Richter and Excalibur, but I mean, it wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah, see,
Mostly just Richter just storms off.
the book is like peppered with, hey, if you like this, check out this. If you like where this storyline is, go check this out. And I did see that, where it's like, hey, if you want to see this, the Richter's point of view on this, go check out Excalibur, because when Shatterstar saw Richter, you get all moon eyes and stuff like that. I thought that was sweet, and it would make me pick up Excalibur, which I stopped picking up quite a while back.
I did pick up Excalibur. There's not as much of that content as you would want.
Yeah.
Like Richter just kind of like storms off pretty quickly because he's like, "Whoa, you're not the Shatterstar I knew.
Yeah.
Gone is the woman you knew, X-Men."
Yes, I mean it was X Factor 10 that was really the big thing for me, and obviously Plant Size X-Men was a big surprise for me.
X Factor 10, I feel like I was really let down by it, because X Factor, I think both of our favorite of the Hickman era titles, and I love the work that Leah Williams and David Baldeón had done throughout the series, and this really felt like a kind of thankless on a couple points. They had the burden of having to wrap up their series, and it's clear that there were so many plot points that were supposed to be bigger things that just get shuffled off and carelessly kind of thrown and wrapped up with very little ceremony.
It seems to me like whoever came up with the whole Trial of Magneto thing came to the X Factor people and said, hey, this is what's happening.
You're in or out.
Yeah.
And especially, and it's a double bummer because they'd already lost Polaris through the X-Men poll,
which I thought was crap.
I know. I'm still bummed out about that.
I really am.
But yeah, so I thought, but they had to wrap up their entire series in an event tie-in, which sucks. So they're already having to stretch themselves a bit thin between satisfying the demands of the X offices while also staying true to the book. And I feel like ultimately they failed to do that. I really think David's arc in particular is really, really hamstrung by this, especially because it kind of ends on I thought kind of tacky, ripped from the headlines. I felt like I was watching like an episode of Law and Order.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care for it.
Dun dun.
But the other really, really unfortunate thing about this issue is they drew the unlucky straw to be the ones to reveal who got killed. And I guess we should bring that up now.
Yeah.
The big shock ending death right after she made her emergence on Krakoa in the pages of S.W.O.R.D.
is Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah. Which I thought was such a bizarre choice, because I would say her cultural clout is higher than it's ever been. Like, really shocked we don't have an ongoing Scarlet Witch comic.
And she's largely demonized on Krakoa.
Oh, yeah. She is the pretender.
Yeah.
She's the great, like, evil.
So I'm trying to figure out how there can even be a trial of Magneto. I mean, who on Krakoa is going to care enough to do this, because she's not liked. She's like the unpopular kid showing up.
I don't know if it's the trial of Magneto in the sense of the original trial of Magneto. I think it's like a personal trial of Magneto. Like, he is putting this upon himself to hunt down her killer.
Oh, okay. So I was under the impression that we're really talking about like a tribunal and all that other nonsense?
I don't know. I mean, that might be because for intents and purposes, Wanda isn't considered a mutant, so that would mean someone broke the first rule of Krakoa.
Yeah. You remember the first trial of Magneto, right?
Oh yeah, about to say that's what X-Men 200.
X-Men 200. Yep,
Yeah.
back when the Big M.
Got the big M.
Yep. And do you remember what it was for? It was the submarine.
That's right, from X-Men 1.
The Russian submarine, which Nightcrawler brings up very recently.
Yeah, that's true. He brought him like what, the replica of the submarine or something?
Oh, he brought up a statue of Magneto basically doing his biggest flex pose like this.
And that was Way of X1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And Magneto's like, this is a valid point. Just totally going right into the gag.
Ah, a jape.
A jape. But this brings up a valid point. We must keep our perspectives fresh. And he just starts sermonizing the people in the bar. And Nightcrawler's like, no, dude, I was just trying to screw with you. You didn't need to sermonize the people. This is not one of those moments.
I kind of want to go back and mention, because we were talking about Hickman potentially leaving the titles. X-Men 21 was his final issue of X-Men proper.
Okay.
And I think there's a really nice speech at the end by Scott Summers. It's about like moving on and ends of eras and stuff. It's very it felt very much like Hickman looking at the camera and talking about his feelings about leaving the main X-Men book. But what really kind of got me and made the speech a little less effective is the lead-in is a really dopey cameo from Kevin Feige, who goes to Cycles and goes, so what's your story?
Yeah.
The celebrity cameos in these are terrible
They really
because none of them are celebrities who would actually show up at a fancy gala.
No.
It's all people who Marvel has like worked with. So like Method Man shows up, and no disrespect to Method Man, but
I just don't think the
weird
Method
pull.
Man would show up to
Like
a political gala out in the
Conan
middle.
O'Brien, Patton Oswalt, and Meredith Salinger, who again I love, but I don't know if the star of MODOK is gonna be a.
I love the fact
cruising the Met
that
Gala.
Patton Oswalt is found new love after his former wife died, and she's a great actress.
Yeah,
you know?
I bet say I enjoy their stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think of some of the other, just like kind of like really.
There were a few other actors.
Jimmy
in there.
Kimmel
Yeah.
showed up, and I was like,
There were some I couldn't recognize.
yeah, a lot of the likenesses were pretty fuzzy. So
Yeah. And Kevin Feige. The only reason I
Kevin
saw him
Feige
was because he had the hat.
he has his hat, and
Always promoting. Always promoting.
Yeah, it definitely gave me just kind of dread of the future. Just being like, ugh.
Speaking of hats, I really want that Blade hat that he had when they announced it.
It was pretty sick.
It was a really cool looking hat. But of
Little-
course, those hats are Feige onlys.
Exactly, an original. He gets him commissioned with all of his
I mean,
Marvel money.
He's got that fat Disney check for the extra custom hat.
I do think it's interesting that Ben Percy kind of was able to carve out a 2-issue arc in his 2 books in X-Force and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Because Wolverine, not at all a Wolverine book. In this
No,
one,
no,
it's
not at all.
100% X-Force Part 2.
It's an absolute Secret Service X-Force. We need to keep Deadpool
and
out.
it does the really good job of and I think a lot of the titles do an admirable job of this, but I think X-Force did X-Force New Mutants did the best job of this, of maintaining their current arcs and stories, but seamlessly tying into the Hellfire Gala and showing how the gala affects those arcs.
Yeah,
Because
I
you have
really-
the roots from Beast's plot in the first arc of X-Force kind of coming back to haunt him.
Surprising timing on that, too.
Really
But they
good,
did
yeah.
wrap it up rather neatly.
They did. I'm curious because now everyone kind of knows what shenanigans Beast has been getting up to.
Yeah, it
Also,
he says it very clearly. I'm the bastard you need.
I was going to
It's
say,
like, that's where Hank is now arrived
of
at.
all the terrible things he's done in this era, I think the one that really hit me was when he tells Domino, he's like, Domino, you're a field agent. Leave the intelligence to me. I was like, damn, dude. Just rude.
I don't know where Beast deviated, where he became Happy Hank, the Wonder Man's chum, to this will do what it takes kind of Jack Bauer character.
Waiting for Beast to just be like torturing someone.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting him to shoot somebody and like, damn, Beast.
The legacy of Donald Rumsfeld lives on in
I want him
Beast.
to grab somebody by their neck and then do one of them that roll thing that Jack Bauer did in that one area where he broke the guy's neck just by running up a wall.
Jesus.
Oh man, Jack Bauer had the stuff. Man, I missed 24. Anyway,
24 issues of X-Force.
yeah. So I mean, that's where Beast is right now.
Yeah, he a bastard man, and I think that's interesting.
And he's a smart bastard.
Exactly. I really like the concept of the mutant CIA being an integral part of their maintaining their political power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I like stuff that kind of looks into the ugly side of the. He's like, yeah, this is all well and cool and good, but how's the sausage getting made here?
Yeah, you know, while we're talking about mutants and bastards, I'm somehow need to steer this conversation to Dr. Nemesis and how awesome Dr. Nemesis is.
I'm so happy he's back. Cy Spurrier is making him so delightful in Way of X.
the science of homicide? I've got a new gun I've always wanted to try out.
His mushroom hair is so...
Oh my god, the fact that they're all like hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
All like experimental stuff. I was like, oh, I figured this would be the opportunity to take advantage of it. Connected directly to my cerebellum. I was like, that's screwed up.
And speaking of our favorite bastards, Hellions once again just killing it. Absolutely.
Totally bombed the party.
The gem. Just... Oh man, I think my favorite line from it, and there were so many good ones, but when Sinister is talking to the Avengers and goes, "So which one of you is Captain America and which one's Iron Man?" I don't watch TV. I love that. Love that bastard.
I appreciated the fact that we got an Alpha Flight callback.
That shocked me.
That out of nowhere.
I was like, well, damn, I didn't read Alpha Flight, but
So for those of you who probably didn't bother with Alpha Flight back in the 90s, Wild Child used to be a character called Weapon Omega. Was it Weapon Omega?
Barking up the wrong tree, Mr. Sabretooth fan.
Yeah, well, he was masked and he was Weapon Omega, and no one knew he was Wild Child. He was just really physically gifted, and then he took his mask off and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been having treatments," and he looked very human, and he called himself Wild Heart. He was an attractive blonde dude, and he started romancing Aurora. And apparently that went to pot when his treatment started falling apart. And so this is like the first time we've had a payoff on that, of this story that happened 23 years ago, of the fallout between Aurora and Kyle.
Wild. So what's next? We bringing back the Purple Girl? Like,
wow, Purple Girl and Goblin. Deep cut. Yeah, you did. Now you got me thinking about Goblin. But I deeply appreciated that showed a respect to the reader. That it was like, oh crap, we haven't had these two in the same room. We need to address this.
That was the real deal, man. And I'm always just constantly astonished by how much I have come to love not only Grey Crow but also Quanon. Like, I have never been a Psylocke fan. But goddamn, Quanon is the coolest of Hellions. I love the kind of like romance blossoming between her and Grey Crow. I think they're both really fascinating, fleshed out characters in this run.
I'm truly, my love of the Marauders and the fact that their leader is actually in a book. He's getting development.
And he's cool. I also really loved Havoc like pleading his case to bring Madeline back. And Magneto being like, hello, Polaris. Your ex-boyfriend here was complaining about his ex. Isn't that sloppy? Like, just very no daughter of mine.
Oh, God, Magneto.
Date a Summers boy.
Such a troll.
I loved, I think in X Factor, someone called Magneto and Xavier the Helmet Bros. And I got a good chuckle out of that.
The Helmet Bros. Because they were trying to find out what they were going to do about... reviving somebody. I'm trying to remember who it was though. I can't remember.
Speaking of the Helmet Bros,
though. Cable. They were talking about reviving old adult
That's
Cable.
Right. I loved in X-Men. It's like the first opening of 21. Nick Dragata draws the pages where it's Namor being like, so how does it feel controlling one tiny island? And Xavier and Magneto's like, I will show you in a few hours. You read Planet X #1, Namor, and you'll see we got our own ocean with Blackjack and mutants.
Namor was an X-Men for a brief moment in time.
He was. Namor Mackenzie, the first mutant.
Yeah, and he even had an X on his outfit and everything for a very long time. Yeah.
But going back to Hellions, the last page reveal that the original recipe Sinister is still alive and is bringing hell to Krakoa. Did you miss that?
I missed that page.
Yeah, so Sinister is like, get out, Hellions, go back to Krakoa and don't mess up the party. You've ruined my evening. And they're walking back, and you see like crawling out of the water is a capeless Sinister, who I believe is supposed to be the Sinister that got shot in the head by our Sinister.
The Sinister that basically set up the Mutant Massacre.
Yeah.
I didn't see that page. How did I miss that?
It's the last page.
I must have gone
I think
to
it's after a data page. Like, I think there's a data page, and then there's that page of him crawling out.
I saw the data page, and I thought it was the end.
A lot of the books that did this.
Wow.
What's it called? X Factor
Stinger.
Yeah, exactly.
Crap. And that would have floored me.
So I guess the next two, kind of like to bring it around to a final act here, the big things we have to look forward to in the X titles.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately coming, we have the Trial of Magneto.
Yep.
Which I think, my belief is how this is going to wrap up, is that they're going to waffle on resurrecting Scarlet Witch, but eventually do it. And then it'll work. And that'll prove once and for all that she's not
mutant,
she's not only a mutant, but she's also Magneto's kid.
Did you notice how she got killed?
Yeah, she was strangled.
Yeah. It was a very subtle key, a little subtle art key on her neck. They don't talk about it, but it's there.
So we'll see.
I was very proud of myself for spotting it, and I was kind of hoping that you didn't, so I could rub it in your head.
Now, what I really want is I want Trial of Magneto just to be Magneto Columboing around the Marvel Universe.
One more thing.
Just one more thing.
One more thing.
I believe that is a mutant word. How did you come to learn of it? Just looking all disheveled, and he's wearing a duster in it, so
that's very cool. And I do like the fact that X Factor features very heavily in it. But I'm sad that Leah is not writing it.
No, Leah is writing Trial of Magneto.
Oh, she is?
Yeah. David Baldeon isn't drawing it, but Lee Williams is still writing it.
Okay, I feel much better about that.
Yeah,
now.
Which is why it's kind of being like partied around as a consolation prize losing X Factor, but it's not the same, you know.
And you know that letter that she wrote at the end of X Factor really made it sound like she was upset about the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too. Like, I think she really
because she
kind of
really
got a
identified with it.
Yeah, and that book just had so much of her heart and soul in it. It's a bummer that it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, we've been dancing around the whole concept and idea of mutants being allegory for queer teens and queer people, and here's a book that is like boom, like 80% of the cast is queer.
Which makes it just an extra big bummer that it ends on a hate crime at the end of Pride Month.
Yeah.
So, really, really poor planning there. Just a big, again, it's a big bummer. It's such a letdown because I loved that series and it was something I constantly would recommend. But having it just end on just such a down note makes it tough to pitch it now, you know?
But on a good note, I have enjoyed the burgeoning bromance between iBoy and Prodigy.
iBoy and Prodigy are great, and I do hope to see more of them.
Yeah.
And the other big book to look forward to, I think it's coming in September, is, of course, Inferno, which is building off of so many plot lines from Hickman's run. First off being, of course, Mystique and Destiny, and Mystique wanting her wife back and asking Xavier, but what about Irene? And Xavier going, what about her?
That was cold.
And you could see right in that moment where Mystique decided, I'm going to bring it all down.
This is all coming down. You see that eye narrow, and I was like, dude, Xavier, man, you rubbing the wrong woman the wrong way.
We're getting the return of Moira, which has been a long time coming.
Yeah, she got a cover shot.
Yeah, we're getting some more stuff with Nimrod, which the Mystique issue really felt like hey, remember how the big thing in Pox was that the technocracy is going to take over?
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen to this.
You're walking right into it. But God, it breaks my heart because I want Mystique to be a Krakoan. I want her to continue being something that you can develop beyond just being a villain or a bitter person. I want Destiny to come back, but I also don't want her to make Krakoa. And I know that's what's going to happen if you bring back people like Blindfold and Destiny.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction.
We're going to make a bold
prediction. I think
you're
you're going to love it.
What's this?
I think Mystique's going to pull Sabretooth out of the hole.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Fist bump. You just made me happy. I think it's exactly what's going to happen because they work together real well. And God, I really love the dynamic that they actually had in Weapon X-Force, which is that Sabretooth-led team. It just such a missed opportunity. I'm not going to go on a Sabretooth tangent. I swear to God, I'm not going to. I'm reining it in.
I feel like in Infinity War when they're getting the glove off of Thanos and then Peter Quill just ruins it for everyone. I feel like I'm Iron Man right now. Don't do this, Casey.
Don't do it, man.
We're at the 1 yard line.
We're at the 25-minute mark. We're trying to keep this under half an hour.
So with that note, Casey, lead us out.
If you like us, we're on several social medias. We got a Patreon going on. We're trying to get that whole thing bubbling and going.
You give us money, we give you content. Smash that bell. Whatever it is that YouTubers say at the end of their videos.
All that stuff. Hit the bell if you want us to come through your internets and say, hey, we got a new episode.
And we'll see you next week.